Well, hello everyone. My name is Monica Ramirez, Warrior of Love, and we're in Soul Talk today. And I want to thank everybody for being here. Or if you're going to sign up later on and you're going to see this video, please hashtag replay. I will appreciate that very much. And let us know where you're connecting, please. I will appreciate that. And today we have a very, very special guest. Is one of my soul sisters because I do feel very connected to New Zealand. I always mention that I have a family over there. And today I have one of my soul sisters from there, from New Zealand. And let me tell you about a little bit about who she is. Her name is Lynley Erin. She lives in Hamilton, New Zealand, and she's a creative and a musician, reader, researcher, learned and unlearned. She's a catalyst coach, helping people to find their own healing within. One of them, on one of the groups, she have a seasonal cycles where she facilitates women's cycles each new full moon. And the workshops, she do also workshops and events, creating spaces and deep connections, healing and sisterhood. She's nurturing her own innate intuition, wilderness, and divine feminine, and love to play with others upon this path. She works with Neuro-Linguistic Programming, an intuitive practice, and she loves to play with the cycles of the moon and the seasons, and her own cycles of nature and creative with the rhythm of all areas in life. And I would like to present you with Lynley Erin, and she is really wonderful. We've been in many classes since several years ago, right?
Yeah.
And the last one was the NLP that was also years ago. It was wow. We've been in the path together for a while.
2000 and it must have been about 2016 or 17, I think, since I met you online through different workshops. Yeah.
Yeah, and yes, I met you after I took the first one or the second one, frequency factor with Karen. It was a while back, and well, I wanted to know something that I am an artist, and it was very hard to combine the art at the beginning. Now I know how, but at the beginning it was very hard to combine my art through my healing process or my practice. And I know you're a musician, and how do you did that? How do you combine that, or what do you did with your music?
Yeah, that's cool. Well, originally my music, I'm a drummer, so I was a drummer since I was about 14 years old, playing in just covers bands and then in a originals band, playing the drums obviously. So coming out of that after children, I kind of left off from music quite a while, and then started playing the guitar a little bit just to have some kind of music. But nowadays with the blend, I got myself a cajon, which is a seated drum that you just sit on and play. It's just one drum, and I use that in my women's circles, which has been really beautiful to bring music. So we try and bring a lot more music, and I want to bring more as well into our circles, just to really clear that voice. I would have never imagined that I would be singing in front of people in circles and that, because I was always hiding behind my drums in the past and on stage. So to go into circle and use my voice, I'm finding I'm so much more confident now with doing that, and I can feel that that sound healing and energy of moving that throat vibration and everything is just, it's beautiful, and it can really help others. And of course the drum, bringing the drum into circle as well, or even for myself sometimes, just with, if I feel like doing some sound kind of chant along with a kind of heartbeat drum or anything like that, is really beautiful. So it's kind of beginning to be interwoven into my spiritual and healing practice as well, usually with groups within the circle, and doing the songs and chants and that. Yeah.
I have a question that what if I know we have many awakenings through our lives. It's not only one that you would just wake up and that's it, and that's you are who you are now. No, we have different grades. That's what my experience was. Uh, Different grades of awakening, and but for you, but something triggered that. Something makes you wake up and say, hey, what I'm doing is not what I want, or I'm bored, or something. What happened to you? So for musician, you decide, you know what, I'm gonna start digging deep and start working with myself. What happened? Or can you tell us a little bit your story?
Yeah, sure. I guess I've always been interested in, I guess, the spiritual realm and aspects. As a young teenager, I would have been very interested in reading the books from the esoteric section and the spiritual section and crystals and all of those kind of things. And as I got into my music, I kind of left that off to the side a little bit. Sorry, cuckoo clock's going to go. So I left that off to the side a little bit and was in the band for over 10 years just playing. So music was just my life, and I think I got a lot of all that presence and nowness and passion and that from the music. So I think all of that was suffice. As I had children, I got pregnant and had my children. That got me out of the music scene. But I would say it's probably that pinnacle moment would have been my birth with my first son. I had quite a traumatic birth with him, and I think it was that that moment of you just start questioning everything. Like once I had to, or even my pregnancy, I started questioning what things were right, what people were telling me from the outside world was the way to be a mother or the way to bring somebody up. So I started questioning through there. And then, with the birth trauma, I started looking for help, obviously, as I got pregnant with my second son. And I started to go to groups, like I was a home birth circle group, because I felt like I could never go to the hospital again. And so I started going to a home birth circle, and it was so healing being able to be in a circle space where you would be held and listened to. So that was just, that was very healing for me. And it just really started me on a path, really, of learning and unlearning and looking into all these different ways of being. And then our friend, our mutual friend Karen, she started doing her workshops, which I attended. And again, it was that beautiful connecting of like-minded souls, that connection that you really felt like you needed, the conversations that you needed to have. And then I deeply needed that. I could feel the medicine in that, and there wasn't enough offerings. So those workshops didn't continue. So I started to create my own a couple of years ago. And from there, I just am in a constant stream of, I just seem to be on this path where you just drop everything, pick new things up. And I've got this amazing bunch of women around me who go on the journey with me. And it's beautiful to have those connections, and the healing that goes along with that is wonderful. Yeah.
I have a question. I hear you saying women's circles. I know there's an association worldwide that is called Women's Circus, and it's the same one, or you created your own?
So I originally went with Global Sisterhood. There's so anyone can look them up, and they also help facilitators they have like just normal posts and everything on Facebook. They do have a facilitator path. They have content that you could use, so it gives you a kind of an idea of different themes in that you could use around a month, which was just beautiful to have that a kind of a theme, so you could get people together and just really explore all these themes of healing or empowerment. So I used those, and I still get those, and then I but I'm doing a lot more creating nowadays with adding songs and making the rituals my own, and using neuro-linguistic programming within meditation, so we can actually get some really good deep healing work done for people. Yeah, and a lot of it I find is the conversation too, so asking the right questions. So as you go around the group, the circle of women, everyone speaks, and everyone resonates with what someone else has said, and it's like that, yeah, deep learning just and or remembering really and what other people are saying. Yeah.
I read in your bio that you were a catalyst coach. What is that? What is the title, or what? How do you use it? Or can you explain us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, sure. So I was just thinking of what I was, and it's very hard to like define what you are to somebody, because I truly believe that it is the other person, if they're working with you, that is actually there to do all the work, and you are the catalyst. So I thought, catalyst coach, that resonated with me as perhaps that meeting with me may just be the catalyst of the idea that comes into the head, or the realization that they come to on their own through, if it's a question from me, or a place that we go, or that I help them journey to in their own subconscious. So I just use the word catalyst as I hope that it is going to be a catalyst moment. Something from our working together will be a catalyst moment for them in their moving forward. As I say in my bio, I believe that everyone's, got their own healer within. So it's just accessing that. So just trying to be, a catalyst for people to get that change in their life.
And but how do you do do you use only NLP in your therapies, or how you managing your therapies?
So I use a lot of,
I do a combination of things. I can't say, oh, I only do NLP, or I do only BQH, the hypnotherapy. I do everything, and many times I'm guided.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't even know what I'm gonna do, but they do tell me what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, that'd be very helpful. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess NLP is my basis, but over the last few years, I've definitely been really bringing in my intuitive practices a lot more, to listen. Kelly Monique, I've worked a lot with her over the last couple of years, and she's really helped me to get into my own intuitive practices. So I actually now can listen to the messages that I'm being given, not psychic messages, just thoughts or questions I need to ask, or feelings I get, and listening to them, and finding that does guide me on the right path for whoever I'm with. So really tapping into that intuition, which helps me use the NLP. So they kind of end up going side by side. Yes, I wouldn't be able to give anything else a name, because it's just a practice of all my research mixed with the NLP. I just read so much work, like from Dr. Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton and Lynn McTaggart and all of those kind of people. So I really like to just weave their wisdom into any work that I'm doing as well, really. So it's a bit of a mixture. I do Reiki if I have people in person in Hamilton here. So a few different types.
Are you a channeler too?
No.
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 And I also read in your Bible that you have the season cycles, and are you referring about the moon cycles, or what are you referring to, and how you do that?
Yep. Yes, that's seasons and circles, and that's so circles being my woman's circles, and the circle like the wheel of the year and life in general, and the seasons obviously. So just bringing those things together and actually bringing those cycles into your life more. So life is lived more authentically, how it's supposed to be. So recognizing which season we're in, or which part of the moon cycle we're in, or even our own cycle as a woman if we're cycling. to just be more understanding of where we might be at in that time, or what would be a good practice to do in that time. So if we looked at just spring, summer, autumn, winter, summer is going to be that beautiful time of play and energy and getting out there in the sunshine, and it's beautiful, so we can expect to have more energy and focus. And then as autumn comes and we start to slow down a bit, we might start to think, what do we need to let fall away from our lives at the moment? What needs to get laid to rest and die, basically, for a rebirth as we come back around to spring. And winter's a rest period and a time for rest, and perhaps, starting to plant these seeds of what we're wanting to grow when we come back into spring. So just using the cycles really is just a beautiful touch in and reminding ourselves that we are cyclic beings and that we live with the seasons. And just because the supermarket gets strawberries from New Zealand and in winter, maybe we're not supposed to eat strawberries at that time. So it's like really noticing the world, how it is, where everything's accessible to us at all times of the year. Maybe what would we be doing in nature in a natural time of this time of the year? So just doing practices that kind of coincide with the seasons, and bringing that into circle, like with the year wheel of the year events as well, like on the Celtic calendar. So we've got Samhain coming up on the 30th of April, which is like your Halloween, which I'm sure you know about. So a very beautiful ancestral holiday. So making sure we celebrate all those beautiful holidays at the right time of the year as well.
Huh. Then you're using a lot of the Druids or the Maoris learnings or teachings. My background is more Mexica, and but at the same time they're all together. In fact, I have discovered with the Mexicas that there were a lot of Maoris actually involved in there.
Oh.
And in the ancient times, and maybe that's where I have my connection so strongly with a lot of the Maoris in a lot with the culture of Maori in New Zealand, but also the Druid is not so far-fetched or not so different from all the tribes in the world that like Maori or Mexica or many other ones. Or that's where you're getting all this information. That's where you got all this information for your ancestry, or where do you find this? Where do you find this information?
Yeah, well, definitely for the information, like what the dates and that on the wheel of the year, then yes, I would have definitely got that from the old kind of calendars and things like that. But I don't necessarily do exactly what what they say, oh, this is when we do this or this. I like to recognize what it's for, and then, kind of create my own circle or workshop or whatever I'm going to do around that time of the year. So with coming into autumn, we'll do a ancestral circle on Samhain, and we'll also do I'll do a shadows workshop, so shadows and duality, so kind of working with aspects of ourselves that tie in with the seasons of the year. So it won't necessarily be exactly what they would have done in the old times. So but I just like to have that kind of magic interwoven in with whatever I feel like creating.
Yeah, I I love history, something that is passion me. I don't if I don't be a if in this timeline I was not an artist or a healer, I would be an archaeologist, because I truly always have enjoyed archaeology and learning about the history. And something that a while back analyzing, because I believe that's why we're in this path, because we like to think and analyze everything. I have came to understand that yes, that human beings, we tend to repeat the history, and not only the history of the world, our own history or our ancestry also, we tend to repeat the same history over and over again. And if we don't put attention, we are always in that season where we have the danger to repeat the same story that we have repeated or our ancestors have repeated. Correct?
Yeah.
Do you use that same the same histories of not only the human of the planet, also of the human beings? Because where we're living right now as planet, we already have repeated this in the past. And we tend to repeat again and again the same mistakes, the same things, unless we put attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you want to
Definitely.
expand more in that?
Yeah. Well, I think that's a huge part of it is being a cycle breaker in this world. And that's what I really like to focus on in the circles. And I know all the women there are cycle breakers in their families from different things. And some things might even just seem innocuous, but it's all so important, like whether it's self-love or whether it's acknowledging some pain like that your grandmother went through, or whether it's what your daughter's going through and how you're handling that, or any of these things are so important for people to look into and heal within themselves. And I think that these practices of old, like getting into our circles of women and or men's circles are amazing too, or even community circles. But having these circles and being heard and held and actually healing these things are just, I mean, and obviously you can do this as an individual too. It doesn't have to be within circle. I just find it such a helpful medicine. But it's, I think we've got the power in ourselves to heal the world from healing ourselves, because if everyone does their work, then you're breaking that cycle, and you're healing the generations before you and the generations after you. Especially when we if we look at time not as that linear kind of thing as well, and path, you're literally healing your timelines by doing any work and digging deep into that.
Yeah, because we just one person to break the cycle from the past so we don't pass it to the next generations.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I wish everybody understand that, because we're creating the new world. And when we're creating the new world, we don't want our next generations to do the same mistakes that our ancestors or us. So if we don't
Yeah.
stop at us, we're going to pass the same information from our ancestors to our kids. And not all informations are bad, like the planting season or things like that. Those are wonderful, not
Mm.
from our ancestors, but the trauma, we don't have to pass it again.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So yeah, it takes a lot of work, and but it's you get so much back from the work that you do. It's so empowering to know that you're moving forward, and just the awareness. I find I always come back to awareness with everything I do. Is it's awareness of what you're doing, the cycles or the patterns that you play out in your life, the conversations that you have, the way that your mind's talking to you on its own. It's bringing that awareness in for all these things that are happening, and then just questioning that. Like, are these things true? Like what you're hearing in your head, is the belief system that you've got set up, is it true? And just constantly questioning where these things have come from, and listening to how you're feeling, how your body reacts to these things. And there's a lot of things, and I come across things almost every day that aren't true for me. Even if I've said it myself, I'm like, oh, hang on, that's not true. But it's just really building that awareness about everything, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And you mentioned right now that it was women's circles, that the women are the ones that are the breakers of the cycle. And but do you think that it's only women or men start that, or if they can start that, or why you just why you where this is coming from? That only women
Mm.
are the ones that are the breakers of the cycles.
I don't think it's just women that are breakers of the cycles by any means. I think it's everybody. Because I'm a woman and I work with women. I focus on women and the healing, power of being in circle. I've also seen, not personally obviously, but online, the amazing power of men's circles. because our men have just been closed off for so long now, with, you know, the way society is with emotions and everything. So the power of men getting together in the circle and being open to speak to each other and open their hearts is, the ones I've seen are just absolutely so powerful and strong, and I think so much needed, so very needed. So yeah, definitely not just women. It's everybody. I think it's just achieving that that balance again of the divine feminine and the divine masculine, like all working together. So, you know, we don't want to shun masculinity. There's so much that stuff out there at the moment which is shunning masculinity as well, and I think we all need to realize it's the toxic masculinity that needs to be shunned, just as the toxic femininity that needs to be shunned, because there's always the path of both sides. So it's that beautiful balance coming together of both. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do agree with you. What I have observed that doesn't mean is my vision, what I'm saying is right, but what I have observed is there's more circles of women working with women, and you can see it. If you put any challenge, you put any class, you're gonna have more women than men
Yeah.
working in the circle. Even if you don't say this is for women, this is open for both.
Yeah.
The ones that are gonna sign up are gonna be women, are not going to be maybe you will have 10 women and 1 man or things like that, and it's like, and it's so necessary that the men start working with themselves and start being in touch with their own emotions. And how do we do that? Because it's important that they start working with their own emotions, and more in this time of ascension, let's put it like that, or because this time is actually very important for the planet.
Mm.
How do we, as women, and I say also because I've been asking this question to myself, how do we make them wake up or start working with themselves? And I'm not saying that all the men are asleep, because there are many men. They're already working with themselves and they're leaders in this area.
Mm.
They're very strong leaders, in fact, but it's not the majority. The majority is women, and you can observe it everywhere.
Mm.
How we can do as mothers of boys, of how we can do that.
Mm. Yeah, that's a beautiful question, and I wish I had a definitive answer to it, but I really don't. But yeah, as a mother of boys, it'll be bringing that community together, of all, obviously not separate, but of all, both sexes, and just having that community spirit there, and I guess just modelling it as much as possible, and speaking about it. Yeah, but otherwise, I don't really know how. There's definitely men out there doing the work, like you say, and there's definitely men I know in New Zealand that are stepping up, and they're doing like men's empowerment groups, or like breath work, things like particularly aimed at men. So there are men starting to reach out to other men, and I hope that it starts growing like the women's circles really have in the last few years as well. Because it's just such a beautiful support. But I think it's bringing back that sense of community for the children as well, because we are unschoolers, and which means we don't go to school, and we don't use a curriculum at home. So we meet up with other homeschool or unschool families around the place, and it's quite beautiful when you all get together, and it does make you miss that that's not our life constantly. So we live in our little suburban, like homes away from each other, and this friend lives 20 minutes away and the other one lives half an hour away, and it really makes you miss being in that community where you can just open the door and your kids have got people to play with, like right then and there, like whenever they want to. And I really miss that side of community, and I think it would just be so beautiful to get these types of lives back if people want them, obviously. But and I know so many people who do, just to be in groups where mothers help each other again, where you've got all these different age groups when you look back to how things used to be, you'd have a new mum, and there'd also be other nursing mums. So if someone was having trouble with their milk, you've got a mum to step right in there, or one mum's doing the dinner, so another mum's got all the children, or older children have got the younger children, and it all works so beautifully. But we've gone so far apart from that now. I think that's why these circles are starting to happen and why people are coming back together, because we're actually starting to realise that this is what's missing in our life is this beautiful connection, and we're all lonely. Even if we live with our families and it's beautiful, we're still lonely because we don't have that community connection, which we're all, I believe, made to have. Like that's what we're supposed to be like. So, yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I grew up in Mexico, and in Mexico we have that sensation. Well, I don't know how it's now, but when I was growing, because the world have changed, uh, I remember growing up and playing in the streets and with other kids and so forth. And then the neighbor will come and tell you, don't do that, or don't get down off the tree, or, getting after you for I don't know, because usually I was on top of that tree, and they it was such a community, family community. It was feeling like that you ended in Mexico. You used to call them aunts. So all the neighbors were your aunts or uncles, and I miss that when my kids were growing up in the United States. There was not that sense of community, and the kids would not play in the streets anymore, and that was lost. And
Yes. Yeah.
I explained it to my daughter. She's a teenager, and she looked at me weird, like, "Oh, that used to happen." Like, oh my
Yeah.
God, it's like talking with someone that with a generation that they don't even understand life, how it was so different
Yeah.
in the new now.
Mm.
I hope in New Zealand they have more that sensational community that we have here in the United States, that here is lost, or I don't see it
Yeah.
where I live.
Yeah, well, I think we have lost a lot of that too. Like we had the same childhood as you say. We played on the streets with other kids our age as well. It doesn't happen in the street here, and I know for a lot of other people it doesn't as well. So yeah, it seems like a generational thing almost. More cars, it's more busy. Yeah, everyone's more spread out, and yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't seem to happen anymore. Mm.
Yeah. Hopefully, we all together can change that and create the world actually we really want. And the only
Yes.
way is through unity and compassion and love, and on opening our
Mm.
hearts and emotions and be more compassionate with others. And we can
Definitely.
create that world.
Yeah. Mhm.
Mm, uh, but in the rituals of the moon, well, in the you say that you do a lot of moon cycles and so forth. Do you do a specific rituals or things like that?
They're always very different. So for the new moon, we always have a different theme that we do. So new moon is this weekend coming up, or in about a week's time. So we're doing it's the Aries new moon, so it's fierce love, and we look at boundary setting and things like that. Yeah, so just looking into areas of our life where yeah maybe we need more boundaries or and things like that. So yeah, and looking at where our power might be taken away or and things like that this month. And so within that play, we'll do meditation and ritual, heaps of conversation, and yeah, songs. So yeah, but it'll all be we do about 4 hours normally, and it's all surrounding this theme. So always with the hope that people will walk out with things on the new moon to kind of implant over that moon cycle of things to work on and be aware of and look for. Yeah, and just yeah, building that awareness around those things in life, basically.
It comes to my mind right now the word druids. Uh, I imagine that over there, where in New Zealand, like in England and many places over there, they had a lot of the teaching of the Druids. And that's a lot of the things over here. Also, we do a lot of the rituals and so forth with the moon. It's not too much different. But a lot of the teachings that you're doing right now with the moon is Druids, correct?
Yeah, I guess a lot of it is based from that. And I also like to think of it as just inherent, like it's who we are. I feel like we're part of these things, and so it might come from the Druids or it might come from wherever really, but it's just something that's inside us because we're connected to the earth and the moon and the tides and nature. So it just feels, there's just something that feels innately right about it. So I definitely haven't connected with any specific religion or anything. I do find that the Celtic like mythology and that, like if I'm working with a goddess archetype or anything like that, I do often like the Celtic mythology, which would be your Druids and that. And all these practices did come from there, and I find a lot of worth in the books and rituals and that they do. So I do definitely get a lot of inspiration from that side of things. But then I like to weave it with my own things, and obviously like we were saying before about using the neuro-linguistic programming and that. So it's not just going to be I don't necessarily just do a prayer or an invocation. It's going to be something where you're going to bring some remembrance or empowerment to yourself through it by trying to use the right language and words and make people create things with their sounds and their visions and
Yeah, we need to bring back all the teachings from our ancestors because there is important. And I always before when I did not understood this, says, oh, this is Wicca, this is Druid, and this is this and this is that. When you're trying to understand the word, you have to put everything in a little square so you can understand it and click it in your mind, even if all the squares are wrong. but but it's beautiful. I've been studying more about the nature of the Druids. That later on it became the Wicca, but the Wicca became different. That and not too close to what it was the original knowledge of the Druids. And it's beautiful. Yes, people that have so many fears and so forth because the religions have put fears on that.
Yeah.
Because it actually was bad. It was the knowledge of nature.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nature religion, and that's what it all should be. Like I can't think of anything more for myself other than being a part of Mother Earth, like Gaia. It's how can we not treat her like a part of us? So it's funny how unattached people have become to where they've come from. Like, yes, we come out of our mother's bodies, but we're of the mother, the earth. And so, it's interesting. It's interesting to me that would ever be tossed aside as a as a religion or anything like that. So, yeah.
I'm really glad that you're doing this because it's very important that to be more knowledge about all these teachings. They got lost.
Yeah.
It's not too much information about it. You find a lot of information about shamanism and things like that everywhere. But part of the shamanism is also being druid. That
Yeah.
information got lost and it needs to come back.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
needs to come back.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is it's already inside of us. And I mean, I found a lot of my awarenesses and things that come to me are just simply from quiet. And it's not, I mean, it's definitely from books and reading because I'm definitely read all that too. But the clicks and the aha moments always come from when you're quiet and you just remember. So even if it's been set off by something you've read or someone has said something, it's still that moment when your body just goes, oh, and then you like remember and you know exactly what it is. It might not even have words that go with it, but it's like it's a remembrance, and it's it's quite beautiful. And that's where I totally agree with you about all the old teachings. A lot of those are a remembrance for a lot of people when you turn the pages of those books, or just start to ponder that kind of information. Yeah.
When you're doing these cycles and these rituals, are you doing online or in person or in both?
I do online ones as well. So at the moment, I'm halfway in what are called seasons of the autumn moons. So we're in autumn over here in New Zealand. So it's over the season of autumn, and there's 5 events that go over that time. So we're doing 3 new moon circles and autumn equinox, and then we'll have Samhain on the 30th of April. And I also do workshops and other moon circles and stuff online as well. Yeah.
She shared all the ones that you have that you want to share in the group and awakening within. So there's is growing. It's a community that is growing, and it's important to show in this side of the continent, in
Yes.
this continent.
Yes. Yeah. 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 No, it's very interesting. So some of the things that I would do would be off balance with where you are on the side of the world, but most of the time it's absolutely fine anyway. I have a woman from England or UK at the moment in my season of the autumn moons, so she's in spring, but she still really resonated with the topics that we were going to be covering, so she's still doing that as well. But yeah, it's no, it's cool. Yeah.
I remember when I started working with you guys, it was like I was looking for my North Star, and for you it was the south. Even my cycles completely changed. It was
Oh,
just working with you guys in New Zealand.
yeah. Oh,
It
cool.
was
Yeah.
where all your whole body readjust to, even if I was physically still in America, my whole body readjusts because I was working and connecting to the energy over there in New Zealand.
Yeah.
It was very interesting to understand that how
Oh,
our body is so magical to do these things.
yeah. Definitely. Yeah, I definitely remember those times when you were even online at the gatherings and that we'd have, and it was very cool. Yeah.
Yes,
Mm.
right now we're in spring over here.
Yes. Yeah. Mm.
Yes. Okay, and do you do then you mentioned that you use NLP. Do you use another techniques with your clients?
With the NLP techniques.
No. Do you use other techniques beside NLP with them, or what kind of how do you do a healing with them?
Yeah, mainly NLP would be my definitely my basis of go-to techniques or ways of just speaking and questioning and getting access with the subconscious. And then, definitely just using just other intuitive practices. Do use cards sometimes if people are open to using cards, or even tea leaf reading. I've been practicing that with Kelly Monique and actually can do quite good at tea leaf reading. So I actually really, really enjoy doing that, and I'm very surprised at the results of doing so. I'm definitely keen to do more work like that with people who are open to it as well, which also brings in the NLP, because once you've dug that deep from the messages that come from the cups, then it's easy to kind of go in and do that or help assist with that healing that needs to happen for whatever gets brought up. So yeah, very a lot of play in there, and bringing in different research things that I've done as well, whether it's colors or energy or sound. There's lots of different aspects that I'll just have to intuitively bring in for different people. Yeah.
Yeah, we are. I'm gonna be interviewing also Kelly Monique. Oh my gosh, she's
Excellent.
such a talented psychic and such
Yeah. Yeah.
compelling and beautiful heart. Another
Yes. Yeah.
I know.
Definitely. Yeah. Yes, I've been very honoured to be able to do quite a lot of work and practice with her, and she's really helped me with my own practices and what I can offer to people. So yeah.
Yeah, like when we met, we the online classes was before the pandemic. So the online classes was not so open in that time. It was not a necessity because you have the contact of people.
Yes. Mm.
And I remember when she was teaching her classes, she was not doing it online, so I
Mm.
couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I hope that that have changed because it open up and connect us to the whole world. How do you did after with the pandemic for you guys? Because you were more in person doing all these therapies, and how we have work with the because I can we now we can say worldwide is like before the pandemic and after the pandemic.
Mm. Yeah.
And in your healing practice, how do you did it, make it work with the pandemic?
I shifted everything online when we were in the lockdown. So we had our circles online. So it was actually quite good to open that different side up because I hadn't ventured there yet. So it actually forced me to figure out how to use the different platforms to be able to do those things online. So now I just do both now. So I love doing my in-person events, and I also like to offer it on, like you say, like as a wider audience as well. And if people are interested in the subjects, then anyone from anywhere in the world can jump on. So yeah, and that's really cool. Yeah, I'm very grateful to have all these different online tools as well to be able to do so. And I also participate in worldwide events from different teachers too. So it's great to have it. Yeah.
Yeah. I have this question that I always ask. I try to ask to all the to all the people that I'm interviewing because for me these interviews are not only sharing information and also learning from each person that I am actually interviewing. And I wanted to ask you, you're a master manifester.
Am I a master manifester?
Yes.
Hmm. I would not say I'm a master manifester. I would say in some areas I am, and I am on the road to being that. I'm still working with belief systems a lot, and so I can see the different aspects of self and the beliefs that still come into those play, which I haven't necessarily explored outside of. So I'm a work in progress for master manifester. But yes, I've definitely manifested so much things that I couldn't imagine, and I think it's a mixture of definitely the intention and the meditation and the imagining of what will become, and then also taking the steps towards it. So I work really well by thinking some great idea up, and then I will create an event for it instantly, even if I've got no content, because that makes it happen. Like I've put it out there, people are going to do it, and now I have to create it. So that makes me manifest what I want with that. So yeah, definitely have aspects in my life that I need more work on, and that's the very ingrained subconscious patterns that have been there for decades. So I'm compassionate with myself that those parts of my life will take a bit longer, but yeah.
Yes, we all have that. We're all in that
Yes.
process. For
Mm,
moments, it's like we believe more in ourselves and the things manifest easier. And when we doubt about ourselves, the things get slower. Like
definitely, definitely.
we're in that process.
Yes.
You have mentioned that you're having some events and some classes ongoing. Do you have one that is that the people you would like to promote or you would like to mention or something that is coming up so people
Yeah.
listening so they can sign up?
Yeah, sure. I haven't got anything advertised as of yet that's new. I've got my new moon circle, and I've got my seasons of the autumn moons, which is running over autumn. I will be doing a shadows and duality workshop in the very near future, which I'll be promoting. So that's really looking into our shadow selves and our golden shadows, and all the magic within that. And what else am I doing? then we'll be moving into the season of the winter moons, which will be the next kind of intake of that season. And inner child is something that's been coming up for a lot of people, and so I'm starting to put together some content for that. So that will be in the very near future that I'll be doing workshops around that as well, and also limiting beliefs. I think that's just the best place to always go, and everything always kind of comes back to those limiting beliefs. So yeah, doing a lot more work around those and creating workshops for that too. Yeah.
Please later on share with us the links if you have them, so like
Yes.
that more people get to know your work, and everybody's looking for, even if we have worked, I don't know, limiting beliefs with NLP or with different coaches or different teachers and so forth. There's always something that we are like, oh, I have not get through this limiting belief. So maybe not everybody's teacher for everything. Maybe when we finally get it with someone, it's like, oh, this I came to understand. It's like aha moment.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was when someone that you don't know, you were not even expecting it in that moment, that you got the aha moment in that moment. So yes, share definitely all those links with
Yes.
everybody, so like that it might be people interested in your classes or your cycles, or the cycles.
Beautiful.
I will be interested.
Excellent. That would be lovely to have you there. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. That's wonderful.
Do you have something else that you would like to add or to say before you answer that one? How's being a blend for you as a mother? Because I know you have your kids, with being a healer and working with women, and you have two boys, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So how has been that blend going into as a mother and as a healer and as a spiritual leader also with women and having boys? How would you have blend that?
It's actually really beautiful. At first, I thought, oh, it'd be so lovely to have a daughter to teach all these amazing things to. But I'm actually really pleased that I get to be really open and share everything that I do with my boys. So it becomes second nature to them of what women perhaps do and what they're like. So you've got the conversations there, so there's more of an understanding there for them. So it actually feels the more that I understand myself and that just the seasons and the cycles and that and the cycles of a woman as well. And I bring them into that kind of knowledge as well of my own cycles. So it's second nature. They don't think anything of it, if I talk about my period or anything like that, because it's just a natural, normal thing in our lives. They don't know obviously exactly what goes on at Circle because they're not there, but they hear me practicing my songs, or they know that I'm working at home and doing all my content creating, or I might come down here with clients, and yeah, so they know that I'm doing it, and I actually feel really proud that they're seeing me create what I want to do, and even if it might be slow going sometimes, and they're seeing me create what I want to do, and they're a part of the conversation. So yeah, it's really nice.
That's good.
Mm.
It is important to include them, but at the same time we can't force them.
No, we can't force them. That's exactly right. It's just having that knowledge there, because if you can't, it's so important to me to have the boys be so aware of the female aspect of things, and not to make them more feminine, or feminize them in any way, but just to have them have the awareness there so they can support that side without diminishing it. Yeah. So that's it's actually quite amazing to have the opportunity to try and just be that guide for them in those kind of areas, and hope that they go into the world and relate with women beautifully. Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you, and that's important for the new world.
Yes.
That's important for the world.
Yeah.
Do you have something else that you would like to add or or to say before we finish? Beautiful.
I don't think I've got much else to add. I would just encourage anybody to just touch in with themselves, with their own cycles, with the moon cycle or with the seasons, and just maybe pay attention to where you're at the moment, and are you listening to your body? What would nature say? Well, anything like that. So just having a really good listen in and tune in to how naturally you're living and how aware you're living. Yeah. So that's all I've really got to say.
It's like the class that we're taking with Karen about the organs.
Yes.
That's very, very interesting.
It is, definitely. And it brings that awareness that we don't normally have as a whole system. So it's breaking things down a lot, isn't it? And also, I'm finding it hard to find words about what's happening within that journey, because it is it's like I was saying before, almost that remembered knowledge or an awareness that does not have words. So yeah, it's quite beautiful.
That is true.
Mm.
Huh.
Mm.
Well, for everybody that is seeing this, if you're seeing the replay, just please hashtag replay. And we have the information where you can contact Lindsay in the description here. And please share with your friends and 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 click like. We'll appreciate that too.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to add this. And tomorrow we're gonna be having a very special guest. It is usually I don't do it in Tuesdays, but we have a very special guest, and his name is Brian Scott. He's a writer of the book of Reality Revolution, and he's also he started the podcast of Reality Revolution. So you want to know about a little bit more of jumping timelines, and that's been one of my curiosities, and that's how it took me to New Zealand. Actually, that. But tomorrow we're having a Brian Scott at 4 p.m. Central Time, and I hope to see you guys. I really, really appreciate it for being here with us and to be watching it. Lindsay, I really, really appreciate this conversation with you, and I love you, sister.
I love you. Thank you so much, Monica. So grateful you invited me here. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Well, see you soon then.
Beautiful. Thank you. See ya. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye bye.